That's how it was on set, y'all.
All right, so let's get going. I love it. The energy in this room is infectious. Blitz, I'd love to come to you first. You know, your love, your passion for storytelling knows no bounds. You are a hip-hop recording artist, you are an author, you are a visual poet, and now you are directing what I believe to be the biggest and most notable Hollywood production, not just of this year, of the decade. I really do believe that. Blitz, talk about coming to this project. What brought you here? And then what's something personal as an artist and a storyteller that you wanted to bring to this version of Color Purple?
Wow. First of all, thank you all for being here. It's gonna be church, y'all, so just get ready. I'm gonna say. I'm born and raised in Ghana. Hey! I got one banana now. That never happened. I'm born and raised in Ghana, and my passion for storytelling began with my mother. She really, I mean, I remember nocturnal nights. You know, we grew up in a neighborhood where electricity hadn't yet come. And so, you know, at 6 p.m., you know, when the sun starts to go down, we'll have to hurry up and do our chores. And it was all to sit around my mother and my grandmother to listen to stories. And I always say they were like the HBO, Netflix, you know, their stories were endless, they were incredible. And remember, they had to come up with a story every night. You know? So, you know, what I learned about storytelling from them was that stories could be cyclical. They didn't have to be linear, they didn't have to follow the Western trajectory of storytelling, the 3-act structure. They could be cyclical, they could meander into imagination, they could be real. Sometimes, you know, the characters will come back as a bird, they'll come back as a human, they'll come back as a table, you know, and so that's kind of how I understood storytelling to be. It was very, very flexible. And so, you know, as time went on, you know, I've always come to story from that perspective. And The Color Purple was the perfect canvas to expand on this kind of storytelling. You know, I was fortunate enough to be, you know, a touring musician for over a decade. And that also taught me storytelling through music. And when I got this job, that was the absolute blessing, because I could understand and I could think about really organic and diegetic ways in which music could be introduced into a musical. When I came to this film, it was more than just, you know, contributing to the canon of The Color Purple, which we were incredibly blessed to do. It was also about contributing to the canon of musicals and the cinematic medium itself. I've always believed that the medium itself has not yet had the opportunity. If you think about what music has been able to do, the freedoms, specifically as Black people on the continent and the diaspora, what we've been able to do with music, I mean, the list goes on: jazz, blues, funk, reggae, rumba, samba. I mean, you could just keep going in terms of how far we've come musically, because we've been free to create. The cinematic medium has not given us that level of freedom. And so when I came into making this film, that's what I was about, was let's be free. Let's think about what we can do with this medium. Let's think about what we can do with the story. Thank God Alice Walker, as you always call it, that beautiful poem she had written for us, was about freedom. So we were just living that when we showed up. And I always say it goes back to her first words, "Dear God." And I always say anyone who can write letters to God must have an imagination. And so that's what we did. We just got into our imaginative hat, gave Celie the biggest imagination she could ever have. And what a blessing to share this moment with this brilliant, genius cast. I mean,
Scott, you originated the stage production. At what point did you say, this should be a film? And how did you go about making it a reality?
I had the good fortune of meeting Alice Walker 25 years ago, and said, your story is timeless, your story is important. Everywhere I walk, there's Celies everywhere. Doesn't matter gender, race, age, whatever. There's a lot of Celies in the world, and Celie has music in her soul. The story has music in its soul. Let's do it on Broadway. And she said no. And then 6 months later, I brought her to New York, and we spent a week together and started talking about how we would evolve the story and the characters, specifically Shug and Celie, looking at the men in particular, Mr. and Harpo's characters, dimensionalizing them more, and knowing that we were gonna do this show, making sure that we had artists of color and women to actually write the musical. And we did that in 2005. We put it up in 2004. Gayle King came to see it. I was doing Queen Latifah's first jazz vocal album, and we were at the Grammys with Latifah, and Quincy comes over and says, I want to be part of this. And then Oprah called and said, I want to be part of this. I'm like, what is going on? And that was my first lesson of what the Color Purple family is all about, because there is a family that goes all around the world. This musical has played at the Nelson Mandela Theater in South Africa, it's played in Brazil, it's played in the Netherlands, it's played in Nova Scotia. And so that was really the purpose, was to make it an interactive communal experience with an audience like this on Broadway, 8 shows a week. Had the good fortune of calling Fantasia's manager and said, we need a new Celie. LaShawnes has come and she's won the Tony and she's leaving the show, and we need a new Celie, and I think it's Fantasia. And she said, I said, how soon could I get her to see the show? And they said, well, luck would have it, she's opening for Jamie Foxx at Madison Square Garden this Saturday. I mean, normally you have to wait months for someone like Fantasia to maybe show up. And so she came to see the show, and we went to dinner afterwards. I brought the whole casting department, Telsey Casting, and we sat there and looked at her, and I said, I want you to be Celie. And she said, what makes you think I can do that? And I said, there's a line that Nettie says that Alice wrote. It's not something I know, it's something I believe. And she started crying and I started crying. And she came in and blew New York apart. Okay, time for me to get out of the way and just, and move on to doing other things. And then the ancestors still wanted to talk, and it was and there was a conversation. Let's take the show to Africa, and went to Africa with Oprah to open up her Girls Academy, and talked to some presenters in Cape Town in South Africa, and said, want to bring the Color Purple here, and they said, you need a smaller version of it. So we went to London, we scaled it down, we tried it in a new way with less bells and whistles, and tried it that way. And that's where Danielle Brooks came in and played Sophia. Broadway debut, got a Tony nomination. And again, I thought, okay, time to move on, And then the world got crazier and crazier and crazier, and Oprah and I are talking, and we said, we need to do this for the world now. It's time to do this for the world. The only way we can do this for the world is through cinema. And we need to find a visionary director, and we need to find a black screenwriter, and we need to think about how we're going to approach this so that it is never viewed as a remake. Right. Steven's movie sits in its own place in the world and in culture, and is always going to be a classic. And yet we see what it has done for actors. I mean, you look at Whoopi and Oprah, and even almost Danny Glover at the time. That really put them all three on the map in terms of acting. So when it came time to doing this, we were all in the middle of COVID, and watching a lot of Netflix at home, and on comes The Burial of Kojo. And it was the most beautiful, stunning piece of film with magical realism. We'll never forget, he has this Volkswagen on a beach on fire. He's got this beautiful young girl holding an umbrella and sparks coming down on top, raining on top of her. And we went, who is that? Who is that? Who made this movie? We need to call. And they said, you know, he's co-directing Black is King with Beyonce. It's coming out soon. And we're like, okay, we need to find, where is he? Does he live around here? Like, and got on a Zoom. He was in Atlanta, and got on a Zoom and said, would you like to take a look at this? And a couple weeks later, came back with a full-blown storyboard. I mean, that turntable with the Victrola of Celie dancing on that, like, he showed us that. That was like one of the first things we saw. We went, who is this guy?
I needed a job.
and we needed a visionary director, so it was a marriage made in heaven. So that's how all of this happened, and we just knew that. And I remember when along the way that Taraji called Alice's work Shakespeare, Black Shakespeare. And we all know how Shakespeare has been interpreted many different ways. And so we didn't want to take that lightly, but at the same time, we wanted to give the freedom, the creative freedom, to say, take the bones of the musical from Broadway, take Alice's book, take imagination and magical realism, and run.
Yeah. Miss Fantasia.
Yes.
Now, I know when they first approached you for the film that you weren't into it and you turned it down. I just want to say, and I think on behalf of everyone, thank God that you chose it. Because you are phenomenal in this film.
All right.
Phenomenal, period.
What made you decide to take on the role? And then when you took it on, what was something new that maybe you discovered about the character and about yourself when you reprised it?
Okay. So when I did it on Broadway, I was young, and my life was in shambles. So I was carrying my cross and seeds.
Jesus.
And that was heavy. When I was so young, I didn't have anybody I could release to, look up to, talk to, give me advice. I was an idol when I was 19 years old. And so I think that, thank you, which was amazing, but I didn't have nobody standing in the gap to warn me or help me for what I was about to step into. I'm from High Point, North Carolina. Now wait, that don't happen often. Yes, baby! So you know what I'm talking about. That don't happen often. I love you. I want a picture with you when this is on. But you know exactly what I'm saying. And Danielle is from South Carolina. You're right around the corner, you know? But she got roots in North Carolina too. But it's that feeling of, you know, I won Idol at a young age, and all I wanted to do was sing. I didn't know nothing about nothing. I just wanted to sing. And so I step into it, I win, and there's so many people coming at you. All the wrong people. All the wrong stuff. People who just see you as a moneymaker. And then so when Scott come to find me, I know Scott seen something in me. He saw the future. But I wasn't quite there at the time. And so, come on somebody. And so when I stepped into the role, and in 2007 it was.
Yes.
I was not ready. I did not like being called ugly because I was called ugly as a kid. I did not
You're
like.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You're gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
I love you too.
Girl, we need to be together. We should be together. Me and you. She said, oh my God.
I've seen somebody that I think is so special.
That's beautiful.
I came because of you, really.
You are.
Wow.
You all right. You the girl.
That's beautiful.
You the girl. You that You that chick. And you blessed.
Amen.
Highly favored.
Yes.
Stop playing.
Anointed.
Yes. This is Jersey and me, baby. Yes. You know it. Amen. Stop playing.
I didn't understand it when I was that young.
That's beautiful.
I was happy I was a young mother. I dropped out of school.
But look at you now.
Come on.
Look at God.
Tell your testimony.
Don't get me started on that. You gotta start preaching.
So, this time when they came around, Scott called me. And I was wondering, I was like, wait a minute, that's Scott Sanders. I pick up the phone and he says, hey baby, I see you. I see you married. I see you happy. You're looking beautiful. But I need you to be my seed.
You said, hell no.
Hell no.
I was like, Scott, wait a minute. Didn't you hear my interviews when it was done? Like I said, no more. And he says, no, but you are our seed. But those voices in my head was like, why you don't want to be called ugly every day? You don't want to be, you're not there anymore. I can't do it. And so, and I love Scott because Scott believed in me when a lot of people did not believe in me. I didn't want to.
You need to meet Blitz Bazawule. You just need to just meet Blitz Bazawule.
When Blitz called me and showed me that he was giving Celie an imagination, I was in. Because I said on Broadway, she didn't have much of an imagination. She was just sad and run down. And you had to kind of figure out how she got there or what her thoughts were. But he gave her an imagination. And every person that goes through something, be honest, we have an imagination. We see ourselves out of it. We see ourselves in better relationships, better jobs, better so I was like, I'm all in.
Go ahead, free yourself.
I was trying to be sneaky about it. And I knew I had to do it. I talked to my mother, I talked to my husband, and I talked to God.
I know that's right.
And I had to do it for all of the women, not only women, men.
Yes.
Not white, not black, young and old. Who have been through some of the things that Celie and myself have been through. So I knew I had to step in. So I totally surrendered to his vision. We all did. And I'm grateful that I did not allow myself to cop out or let fear step in. Because every young woman, young man, white, black, young, old, are going to take something from Celie, Suge, Sophia, Harpo, Mr. It was destined. It was necessary.
Raji, you have a very interesting story too, and I feel like there's so much fate up here when it comes to this film. You know, you originally were approached for the stage production and turned it down. And so talk about this character coming back into your life and deciding to take her on this time around. What made you want to approach it, and then how did you approach shooting?
what made me want to approach it was Blitz tapping me. I had no idea that there was there was a possibility of a Color Purple remake. I didn't know. And my manager calls me, he's like, you know you're being tapped for Sugar. And I said, what? Oh God, why the hell are we doing this again? Like, it's a classic. And then it's COVID, everybody's sitting around doing nothing. So he comes, he's on the Zoom and he paints this picture and he's like, I want to tell the story through Celie's imagination. And when he started explaining it to me that way, I was like, oh, well there's an entry point. There's something new I haven't seen before. And what struck me as interesting for me is that,
Take your time.
Take your time.
What you see here is when the studio allows you to be free, allows us to control our narrative. Y'all know I've been doing this. Some of y'all been with me since baby boys. But during this journey, this is the first time, y'all, in my career that I've experienced this type of freedom, type of, am I being too black? Was that too cultured? Was that, knowing that it's your truth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The fights that we had, just with Cookie, the fights we had to do, I was like, this woman is real. Show this. This boy called her a bitch. I don't know what mama's gonna stand by and let him get away with that. Show this. People need to see it. So I was getting so tired of fighting. And then this blessing comes along, and I'm just, as a black woman, and I'm gonna say this every time we have company.
Yeah, it is.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for Hallie. I'm happy for Felicia. I'm happy because this is the first time you have this big production, a studio film. Danielle been doing the damn thing, right? But this is her first big studio production. And to be able to walk into this, I urge you to hold on to it. Because it's not, and my line, Colman knows, we tell amazing black stories, but we never tell them. And that's why this film has touched you in a way, because it's coming from a real place. Another thing that struck me as interesting and why I felt the need to do this film is that black people don't wallow in our trauma and muck. We just don't. We do not. We're vibrant the way he felt it. We're colorful the way we're upbeat. I mean, we can go to a family gathering, and I may not have spoken to Uncle Buck in 5 years, but let them play electric slide. You know what I'm saying? So that type of representation matters, because you know what it teaches our children? I don't care what has been done to you in life. When God grants you, when God blesses you that air in your lungs the next day, you have a chance to wake up and change the course. And when I understood your approach, I saw the importance and just the sheer necessity. We need this story. I do work, y'all know, on Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. That's my life purpose, to help heal us, our community, because we don't talk about it enough.
That's right.
You know, and there's healing in this film.
Yes, it is.
But it's in our vulnerability.
Yes, it is.
That's where our strength lies.
That's right.
So that's what made me do this film, because I felt the magnitude. I knew how important this was for us to see us in this light. And I remember one day I sat back and I looked at how all this beautiful blackness, and I cried. But it was tears of joy, because it's just so beautiful to see black people look so good.
Yes.
Buttoned up and shiny shoes.
Yes,
and
honey.
I don't know. Babies, hold on to it. Cherish this moment because they don't come often.
That's wisdom. That was wisdom. That's wisdom.
Danielle, I watched, there's a video online of you finding out you got the role with Oprah telling you. I do think it's important to acknowledge Oprah. She's not here tonight, but I know she very much is here.
Yes.
And I love how much joy you're expressing in that moment. And you can tell how proud of yourself that you are in that moment. And so what was that moment like for you finding out that you had the role? And then also, in taking on the role, again, what was something new that you discovered about the character playing her on the screen?
Good questions, man. We get asked a lot of questions, but these are fresh, and it's nice. This has been, it's true. This is a gift that keeps on giving to me. I'm just so overwhelmed and so thankful. The fact that you even said, like, Oprah zoomed me, I'm like, man, that's still kind of like, what is going on? This is crazy. You know, I auditioned for this, and my first conversation was in March 2021 with Blitz. We talked for about an hour and a half about the story and about the character and how, you know, making sure that I think, you know, more so for you to make sure that you were getting a Sophia that was open to your ideas and what you wanted to bring to it, and I was. Because you're so fresh with it, man. Your vision is crazy. So I was excited about this. And then he asked me to put myself on tape to sing. And I was like, I did get a Grammy. The Broadway revival. But I'm gonna humble myself and put myself on tape and do that, okay? And then I didn't hear anything for a few months, and I got a little nervous. And I said, yep, I heard that. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna write him a letter. And I did. I wrote him a letter to say how much this role meant to me, but also to say, if this is not for me, I still wish you nothing but the best on that journey. He received it. He didn't write me back. And then they tell me, it's all good, it's all good. Then they tell me, Danielle, we want you to do a chemistry read with Corey. And I was like, we went to Juilliard together. We're in the same class. You know, this is one of my closest friends. What do you mean? But I humbly put myself on tape and did a chemistry read with my closest friend. And I just had to continue to move ego out of the way.
Yes.
I had to surrender and say, Lord, if this is for me, it will not pass me by, and I will not get in the way of what you have for me. And so 6 months later, September 19th, 2021, 2 days after my birthday, Ms. O calls me and says, you are a new Sophia. And I immediately, after that call, I ran and found my husband. I said, baby, did you hear that? He said, no. I said, it's over. Said, like, you got Sophia? He picked my 200 plus down. Spun me around, and we immediately got on our knees and prayed.
Yes.
Prayed and thank God for this moment, because this is not me. What you see is not me. It's God. So I'm so grateful that I got this journey. You know, I saw this in 2005 when I was 15, and then 10 years later, I got to be in it in 2015. And now to do this movie and to tell it this way, to be a part of this multiverse, as Blitz says, to be a part of history and legacy. Man, God is so good. And when it comes to Sophia, she's taught me so much about myself. Sorry, y'all.
You amongst family.
Share your testimony. Thank you. She's taught me that I am strong. You know, this industry is tough, and sometimes, for me, I'll speak for me, I did get imposter syndrome when I was on Broadway. I had gotten the Tony nomination, and I don't know if Scott knows this, but I called out the next day because I was just like, oh my God, I can't get back on that stage. People are gonna find out I'm not really that good.
I saw you when you were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I kept getting back up and singing Hell No every night, and getting to say hell no to my fears, getting to say hell no to resisting the greatness that lived in me, changed me, y'all. And so now, getting to play Sophia, it's like Oprah says to me, she said, you know, you stand as one, but you come as 10,000. And that's what this is. Now I get to represent for so many women that are Sophia, that are strong, but fall and learn how to get back up again. Amen. So I'm really, really grateful for this moment. I'm so happy that God makes no mistakes. And I'm grateful that my mama taught me to move ego out of the way and stay humble. So I'm here, man.
I gotta say something though. This is really Sophia, and this is really Sugar. Wait a minute. We had a photo shoot.
Oh boy.
And my team was there, and they was in heaven. And here comes Danielle coming across the floor because she was trying to figure out what was going on. She looked at me and said, I'm about to go home. And my team said, oh my God, that's really Sophia. I said, I told you. This one. You hear her, am I lying?
Yes.
We and I said, there goes Sugar. So I will say, you handpicked us. Perfect. And I still want to pick your brain on how you did that.
Because I'm trying to
I'm gonna say
understand
it's
when you
really
saw me
great.
sing like that.
I'm just gonna say it's very, very great.
And sit down.
You know, first of all, to be first-time studio director, when there are none where I'm from, not one, and then having to choose each one of you, when Scott is right here with me, we heard it all. There was never y'all. No matter what I said, and no matter what I did, it was never y'all. And I'm going to say this out loud, because our faith, our collective faith in each other.
That's right.
I remember when I called you, T, I begged you. I said, there's no way they will ever see what I see. You put that to the side. You put that to the side, and you showed up. I remember, Danielle, when we were on, you had just finished your chemistry. And I remember talking to Bernie. I said, Bernie, we have to get Danielle back immediately. Because what I saw, they will, whatever I say, you were in Budapest. I literally had to say, please get Corey back immediately. Because I needed to prove, no matter what I said, no matter how much work you had done, no matter what you had done, it was never enough. The fact that we always have to start over. So this here is a miracle.
Yes, it
And I know he said this already to Raji, but I just pray that wherever y'all go next, if we get to make another movie together,
we will.
You better not forget about me. Listen, I pray for y'all that you find people that believe in you, that trust you, that will give you the freedoms.
You gave us.
Wherever you go,
You gave us.
wherever you go next, please know that we have set a standard of respect, of mutual love. Work with directors who will check on you. Work with directors who will say sorry.
That's right.
Okay?
That's all.
Work with directors who will give you the space. You know what I mean? And I just pray that there are many of us that are in line. We just need an opportunity because y'all need to be protected.
Correct.
And that work that we did, and thank you, Scott, for always backing me. When I said, I know it is Danielle. I know it is Tarai. I know it's Colman. And then they send us the list, and it's not y'all. And I have to go back, and I have to prove again, and I have to prove again. And we're still proving. We are on this stage, still proving.
Come on.
So I just say that to say, man, I pray that we break those ceilings so that when we show up, it is not to start over, it is to build on what our ancestors have given us, have granted us. That's what I pray for all of us. That's what I pray for.
But we got y'all. We got y'all.
That's why we showed up 10 toes down. We
got y'all.
Because he believed in us.
That's right.
But we believe in y'all.
We believe in y'all.
We believe in y'all.
That's why we here. That's why I wouldn't be sitting here twice. I came earlier.
Yeah, you were here earlier.
I'm here twice. And I'm going to take this joint international. I'm the founder of International Stop the Violence. I'm taking it. I had to see it twice to confirm what I had seen. Okay? Had it confirmed because I'm an educator. I'm Dr. Coney. I had to educate, evaluate, remember the book from back in the day. You hit it.
Yes.
And I see awards coming your way.
We'll receive them all.
You better. Yes. And don't forget about me on the red carpet because I called it. I see it.
Yeah,
you want to sweep
all right,
it.
y'all.
We're going to prove it by showing up at the movie theaters.
Absolutely.
I want to hear from these niggas.
Yes, they have lovely stories.
Colman.
I already bought my tickets.
First of all, happy birthday.
Yes.
You know, sir, you are such a kind soul. You know, off screen, off the stage, you are just the kindest, nicest human. Talk about what you saw in Mr. and what you wanted to sort of take away from playing him. He's complicated, he's angry, he's abusive. How did you find yourself getting into his headspace as well?
Well, growing up in London,
You from Philly! We from Camden. You from Philly. You from Camden. You from Philly.
now that I have the room, the only way that I can get into Mr. is immediately first with a conversation that I had with Blitz, which is how complicated he is and the mysteries that we know. And how a lot of times we just see them as tropes and they're just a villain. They're just a criminal. They're just darkness. But we know he's human. And we know he has needs and wants and dreams like anybody else. And we also know that he's, as we discovered together, and I know we were both very interested in, it goes twofold. One is looking at him as a broken person who's hurting someone. And so that's human, right? I had to find what I love about Mr. And, you know, I'll tell you a few things. One thing, even when I put on my costume, and this is not saying what I think about myself, But Oprah said, "Oh, it's a sexy mister."
I said the same thing.
I'm saying that only to say we absolutely wanted to make sure it was complicated for Celie. All those questions, well, you know, when people hear, well, why did she stay?
Ooh.
You mean, well, what is it? If she thought that maybe he was a prize or something like that, he thought of himself as a prize. You know what I mean? He did. So I wanted to look at that, so that cocky nature of him when he was younger, and how he was a Lothario, he was romantic, and he played, and he got the ladies and all that stuff. So I wanted to lean into all that. So, and lean into like, oh, this is his possibility and what he could have been. But he also had a foot on his neck.
Yes.
And whether that was from America or was it from his father, it was generational. I would say it's bigger than just his father.
Generational.
You know what I mean? I think he's trying to find the fact that his name's Albert, and he's like, I want you to call me Mister. Everybody calls me Mister. He wants respect in the world. That's very clear the way he's written. So for me, I do dramaturgical work and like find the way he is right there, just what's on the page, what Alice Walker gave me. You know what I mean? Then what Marcus Gardley took on. So I just look on the script and break that down and find a way into his soul and find a way how he hurts and what he wants. So I know I can do the thing that I thought was necessary, which was I had to love him, and also I had to hold space for not these women as well, and this man too, because I'm inflicting harm on everyone. You know, so I had to find how can I be of service as an actor and do this terrible dance of darkness, but also hold space for them. That's why they know I crack jokes all day long. I will pray. I will pray with them. We'll hold hands. You know, all that. But that's a very conscious thing because I need to know. I know the work that they have to do as well, and I know the work that I have to do, and they have to trust me. And have to know that we all feel safe together. Because we're telling stories about of trauma, and it's all about trauma. It's not specific to just them. It's like everybody. Like you said the other day, everybody has trauma. So for me, I wanted to find, and then with my son, I wanted to find moments of unconscious tenderness. Again, it's a word that you kept saying. It's the possibility of what could have been. Even a moment when we found a rehearsal where I laid my head on Corey's chest, unconsciously, and then Corey, and every time I haven't seen the film often, but when I first saw it, I saw the look on Corey's face, which is possibility of hope of like what could have been if it wasn't all this toxic masculinity. You know what I mean? Of like if black men could be tender with one another. We do so much more for our families and for the world, honestly, and it has to start with us. So that possibility that broke the moment he was conscious of it was like, no, that's not what I do. And then he's got to fight his own demons. So I wanted to examine him in a very complicated way that also had a moment of redemption for him. Because he does, I do believe in redemption. I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe everyone has a possibility to be brought back home into the fold when it's accountability and when forgiveness is actually forgiveness.
Come on.
And that's what, and for me, thank you, but that's what Celie does.
Come on.
That's what Celie, she liberates her oppressor.
Come on.
And for me, that's not only just about man, woman, it's about, I'm thinking about America, I'm talking about political parties, you name it, just like, the idea to actually have humanity for someone who has wronged you in such a terrible, terrible way all your life. And still see them and say, that little moment of the invitation to the Easter dinner. And it was actually the first time I stood back there and watched it. And I knew when I was playing, I wanted to just know that it's such a surprise that he felt that he was gone from the world. That was in that, and he deserved it. And then somebody liberates him. I think that is truly the power of love. And that's what I think that we're all trying to explore with every bit of functions we have in our characters. It's all the power of love and grace and humanity.
Because he's right, he checked on us and on me. on me after every hard scene. Your thing is shoulders. And he will always come and grab me and look me in my eyes and say, are you okay? I said, I'm okay, I'm okay. But I want to say, you talked about the believe. When young Celie sees you, I believe on the horse when you come in, and she asks this young lady, who is that? Because you were pretty sexy. But Celie sees it. It's something she sees different for the first time. And she asks her sister, who is he? Who is that? And she's like, he's the devil. I see something in you then. At a young age, Celie could always see.
Real.
Do you understand what I'm talking about?
You can see, yes.
She could always see. Even when she couldn't speak, she could see. I think I hung in there because I could always see. You are a beautiful man, just on the inside. You dealt with some things generationally. And I think that a lot of people in real life go through that. Where you see the good. I see the good. There's some young lady that says, I see the good in my father.
Yes.
He just keeps.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like all the men I dated. It's true. We can laugh about it, but it's so true. You stick in relationships that you keep saying, but I just see the good. When they don't see it. So in the end, when we have that full circle moment, when you come in and you buy them ugly pants, and I touch you and I said, let's just us be friends.
I love that scene.
Even in that moment, that took me back to I always sing.
Yes.
I always sing the good in you. It's always somebody that sees the good. And at a young age, Celie could see it. So I appreciate even when we're talking right now, because everything about you, Colman, played a different mister than what I played on Broadway. I trusted you, even when it was ugly. Because yes, I've seen you checked on me. Remember when I wanted to do my own stunts? And you said no? You kept saying no, she ain't do it. I said, Colman, I can do it. You kept saying no. And then you pulled me to the side and said, why do you want to do it? I said, I need to do it to let go of some things that I've dealt with. And you took good care of me. So it's almost like in real life, in Celie's real life, I always see the good in the man. Sometimes we don't see it, overlook it, but sometimes we do, and we just want to see them break through those generations. So did Harpo. Corey. I call you Harpo, but you played so well that you are my Harpo. You were a son to me in the movie. You were my brother, Offset, but still someone that checked on me. So the men play a big part. They just need to be seen past what they have went through or what they've seen before them. So that was good. I'm sorry, Colman, I just
Corey, talk about being that son, Harper. Very much a character that does break those generational chains. Talk about taking on that role of Harpo, but also, what working alongside these women did for you in terms of accessing the character and playing a new version of it.
You always make me go last. And I'm always like, just so full because I just thank God for finding myself among my real life angels. People who take care of me, love on me, And in return, it is an act of service what we do. I think as actors, what we do is an act of service. Yes. And it is important to remember that when people try to remind us, you know, to say that what we do is frivolous. I do think, and I always, when on stage, on Broadway, off Broadway, it's always, if there's one person in the audience who this story resonates with tonight, you know, we've done our job. Yes. Because that will then reverberate and the seeds will continue to spread. When you talk about working with this cast, with these women, with these men, Colman is very right. Like those were our conversations. It was just about how do we get out of the way and allow these characters to be vessels for whatever Alice Walker envisioned, even though she didn't know she maybe at the time, and continuing to further these characters, to deepen these characters, to find the in-between, everything. She wrote this poem of a novel that starts with the words, "Dear God," but it's everything in between, and we get the luxury as actors to fill in between the lines. And that's the work. It's everything behind the eyes. For me, Harpo, I love him. I love him because he's a quiet soul. He is someone who sees. When people ask me about the color, I'm always like, sight. It's not because it's called the color purple. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, but like, it's because it truly, those words in the novel, where she says, where she gives Suge the words, if God is inside of me and everything else, I'm like, how can you not love somebody else? No matter what you feel about them. If you see God in them, the same God that is inside of you, or high power that is inside of you, then you have no choice but to find that love. You have no choice but to find that forgiveness. And I leaned on that with Harpo. He's the one character, I think, who truly sees Celie's journey as a child and grows with her. He's been a victim of abuse. He's imparted abuse. He's been taught abuse. But he makes a choice to break that shit up. And he breaks that cycle. And just lastly, you know, I'm gonna shut up, but something that Colman was saying about the work that they have to do as women in this film, to bring these characters to life on film. It is hard work. And people sometimes look at what we do and they equivocate, or they, you know, that's what they do. No, this is work. This is craft. This isn't just, yes, it's us, you know, that's Sophia, and that is, you know, Suge, and you are Celie, but you're also actors, you're trained, and you don't want to lose that. And it's important to remember that once you put it down, you have to then go and be women off screen, black women off screen, and we have to support that as well. In this room. So that was just important, and it comes upon all of us, and it started at the top. I'm thankful, I'm grateful. Alice, she wrote me a beautiful note, Miss Walker wrote me a beautiful note at the very beginning about being her Harpo for this generation. And in London, a young lady came up to me and she was in tears, and she was trying to find the words, because she said this generation of young men didn't have the words to talk about love. And she saw Harpo and Sophia's relationship, and she appreciated that because they lived in the mud. They lived in the muck, and they figured it out. And they're flawed, and guess what? We still love it. So thank you.
I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much. You know, when I talked earlier about feeling this film, this is why you feel this film as much as you do. And so thank you, Fantasia, thank you, Taraji, thank you, Danielle, thank you, Colman, thank you, Colman, thank you, Blitz, thank you, Scott. And before we go, I believe we have, is there a cake? Do we have a cake?
We ate it already.
Oh, we already ate it.
No.